In tonight's 360 Perspective, we're breaking down what tariffs mean for the economy and your pocketbook. Tariffs had sort of been fading into history, but President Trump now embracing them as a tool. If a government thinks trade with another country is becoming unbalanced, it might tax certain items from that country. For example, the U.S. imports more goods from China than any other country in the world. $505 billion worth in 2017. But the U.S. only exported $130 billion to China that same year. That creates a big gap, aka the trade deficit, to a tune of $375 billion. Let's take a look at how tariffs work. They're a tax on imports. They're also sometimes called duties or levies. Here's a very simplified example, putting aside the massive real-world amounts that are subject to tariffs. An American retailer buys 100 umbrellas from China. They're $5 each for a total of $500. The U.S. tariff rate for umbrellas, 6.5%. So the retailer would pay $32.50 extra on that shipment, raising the price from $500 to $532.50. That amount would get passed on to the consumer in the United States. Now, tariffs are collected by Customs and Border Patrol agents at 328 ports of entry across the United States. All the proceeds go to the Treasury Department. The rates are published in the Harmonized Tariff Schedule, which lists tariffs on everything from dried plantains at 1.4% to parachutes at 3%. Here's what they aim to achieve. First, increase government revenue. Tariffs were once a big moneymaker for Washington. According to Douglas Irwin at Dartmouth, from 1790 to 1860, tariffs produced 90% of federal revenue. That changed when the federal income tax was established in 1913, and in recent years, it is nowhere near that. We'll get to that in a moment. But second, they aim to protect domestic industries from foreign competition. They discourage imports by making them costlier. They also reduce pressure from foreign competition, make it easier for homegrown companies to raise prices. So here's why they haven't been as big in recent history. As global trade grew after World War II, they fell out of favor. The World Trade Organization was formed. Deals like the North American Free Trade Agreement were made, reducing or eliminating tariffs. And according to the most recent data from the World Bank and the Pew Research Center, which is from 2016, the average U.S. tariff was 1.6%. That is among the lowest in the world. Globally, China's average at 3.5%, Mexico nearly 4.5%, Brazil at 8%, Canada one of the lowest as well at less than 1%. Some economists say tariffs are a bad idea. They raise the cost of imports for people and companies who need them. By reducing the competitive pressure, they give U.S. producers leeway to raise prices. Good for them, but bad for consumers. And here's an example. U.S. companies that buy steel say U.S. tariffs on imported steel leave them at a competitive disadvantage. They have to raise prices on consumers, while producers in other countries can buy it for less and offer lowered priced goods to those same consumers. Other economists say tariffs make marketplace competition fair and help home economies grow while nations compete with each other to sell resources. That has a trickle-down effect to you and me in the form of more affordable goods. But with the recent tariff hikes, here's a look at what it's expected to cost the average U.S. family this year. According to Liberty Street Economics, China duties will cost more than $830. If you add in that 5% from Mexico, that will be an extra $130 or so, roughly about $1,000 a household. Evan Horowitz at FCLT Global says this is not a trade war, that this costs about the size of the average tax benefit the households got from the 2018 Republican tax cuts, which some polls suggested that they didn't even notice. Now, on the online version of this story, I'm going to add some tips on how to save when a big ticket item you want, like a TV or washing machine, is going to be more expensive due to tariffs. For that, head to KOAA.com. And if you have an idea for a future 360, email 360@KOAA.com.